evaluation of metastatic bone disease with quantitative sodium fluoride PET-CT in era of targeted therapy. I'm working in Kuwait Cancer Control Center, Ministry of Health, Kuwait. This is starting with a case. This is a case of 48-year-old female with metastatic breast cancer on hormonal and endocrine therapy. This is a baseline sodium fluoride PET-CT. And this is the post-therapy after 6 months. The visual analysis has a low inter-reader agreement. And the final impression in this case for response evaluation will be stable disease. Somebody can say is almost stable disease, some fancy kind of partial response. Some can say that minimal response or maybe a good response. So quantitative methods may be a good alternative and provide accurate and give definite assessment. And in this case, the skeletal tumor burden was decreased by 68%. So this is my presentation outline. I will talk about introduction, some about the skeletal tumor burden, and finally some limitation and conclusion. Since many decades, bone scan with technetium labeled bisphosphonate is extensively used for the evaluation of metastatic bone disease. Latest advancement of anti-neoplastic therapies like immune checkpoint inhibitors, bisphosphonate, anti-RANKL treatment, and cycling these therapies for metastatic bone disease, life expectancy and overall survival are prolonged, and it requires a longer course of treatment and frequent response assessment. Sodium fluoride is an excellent bone imaging agent owing to the high bone uptake, rapid single pass extraction, minimal protein binding, and fast clearance from the soft tissue. It was introduced in clinical practice in 1962, and late in 1972, it is approved by the FDA as a radiotracer for bone imaging. Again, spark up in popularity to the wide availability of PET system worldwide. Compared to the conventional bone scan, it has a minimal protein binding and a first pass extraction of nearly 100%. That means all tracer you injected it go to the bone. With its all unique properties, make it a desirable radiotracer for bone imaging. It has an excellent sensitivity for the osculosclerotic bone metastasis, but it has a relatively better accuracy for osteolytic metastasis as well, because only a small minimal bone remodeling around the lytic lesion can be detected by this method. So it is better than conventional bone imaging for osteolytic bone metastasis as well. Response evaluation in metastatic bone disease is always challenging. Bone scintigraphy is generally used in detection and response evaluation of bone metastasis, especially for osteoblastic disease. Assessment of disease extent and response on conventional bone scintigraphy is always challenging. So alternatively, sodium fluoride is an accurate compared to the conventional bone scan for response assessment. The quantitative analysis with sodium fluoride is more accurate. The quantitative tools like tumor burden has a prognostic significance as well. Here are some examples for sodium fluoride in response assessment. This is the case of metastatic prostate cancer to the bone. Initial baseline scan shows a multiple osteoblastic lesions in dorsolateral spine. Patient put on hormonal therapy and shows the excellent response with complete resolution of metastatic bone disease. Another example of metastatic prostate cancer on hormonal therapy, now presented with a rising PSA, and you can see in the post-therapy scan increasing in pattern of sodium fluoride uptake. These are consistent with the disease progression. A recent study published in Nuclear Medicine and Molecular Imaging in 2019 about the role of sodium fluoride in assessment of therapy response in prostate cancer. They have included 21 patients of metastatic disease of prostate cancer, and they have found that a strong correlation between the PSA-based treatment response and quantitative and semi-quantitative parameters on sodium fluoride PET CT. In conclusion, they have found that the sodium fluoride is complementary to biochemical monitoring in patients with bone-only metastatic from prostate cancer. So quantitative parameters in sodium fluoride PET CTs are the standard uptake value, tumor volume, and the skeletal tumor burden. These indices are important to quantify the response to therapy. The skeletal tumor burden may be important parameter in patient undergoing the systematic therapy because these finding on sodium fluoride is strongly correlated with the clinical outcome and is a predictor of the progression-free survival. This is a case of metastatic adenocarcinoma of the lung on a immune checkpoint inhibitor Eletronev. This is a baseline sodium fluoride showing a multiple osteoblastic lesion in the axial and proximal appendicular skeleton. After the therapy of 9 months, you can see decrease in number and intensity of osteoblastic lesion and patients showing a good response to therapy. Another example of metastatic lung cancer treated with chemotherapy and an immunotherapy, you can see that the follow-up, there is a 3 follow-up scans. You can see there's a decreased pattern of sodium fluoride uptake by SUV max from 47 reduced to the 2.9. But in contrary, you can see on the CT imaging, the household using in the sclerotic lesion is increasing. And it clearly shows that the importance of functional imaging over anatomical imaging with CT for therapy monitoring. Another case of metastatic breast cancer, you can see this baseline having osteoblastic lesion in cervical spine.
Results receiving of
It is expected to see the flare phenomena with sodium fluoride, especially in the early course of treatment. Flare phenomena can be seen after both chemotherapy and endocrine therapy, especially in the early course of treatment, like in 2 to 3 months after the initiation of the therapy. And sodium fluoride should be performed after sufficient time of start or end of treatment to reduce the flare. And this patient was followed up later and can show that one is responded well with the therapy. So the indices that can be used to evaluate the skeletal burden. On the bone scan, it is termed as a bone scan index. It is a semi-authoritative or objective method to quantify the skeletal tumor burden or bone scintigraphy, and it is well-known index for the FDG, called it a glycolytic tumor burden by evaluation the skeletal tumor burden. It is feasible to quantify the skeletal tumor burden with using sodium fluoride. It is same like a TLG, total lesion glycolysis on FDG. Here it's called the total lesion fluoride uptake. And the fluoride tumor volume is similar like what we have the metabolic tumor volume quantification analysis used in the FDG PET CT. So TLF is nothing but the similar to the TLG, total lesion glycolysis on FDG. MTV on FDG PET CT is similar like a FTP, the fluoride tumor volume. The skeletal tumor burden with sodium fluoride is determined by the volumetric data using whole body segmentation done by the software. So the semi-automative volume of interest was drawn on the all metastatic sites using a threshold of SUV max 10 or 15, or you can do a reference value as well by outlining all the bone lesions. The non-metastatic lesions such as activity in urine in collecting system, degenerative changes, fracture are subtracted from the analysis. So total lesion fluorosis or fluoride uptake is nothing but the mean SUV multiplied with the volume of that metastatic lesion. There are different softwares available for the quantification of this skeletal tumor burden. Some are semi-auditive, like a Hermes Medical Solution. There are some available completely automated software like a MIM software, and they use the threshold value. Just you need to define the value of threshold value of either SUV max 10 or 15, and you can put in the threshold value, and you can get the total skeletal tumor burden. This is an example of MIM software. This is a patient with metastatic breast cancer. The automatic ROI is drawn on all the lesion. It first time include the non-metastatic lesion as well. It was subtracted by the final calculation later on. I can show you the example of the MIM software. So this is a baseline delineation, and this is the post-therapy. And you can see this is the total lesion fluorosis in the baseline, and you can compare the value in the follow-up or post-therapy scan. It is some examples for the skeletal tumor burden with a threshold value of SUV max 15. This is the case of metastatic breast cancer on palbociclib, Femora, and Falsadec treatment. And you can find the multiple osteoblastic lesion in axial and proximal appendicular skeleton with a tumor burden of 2,607. And the post-therapy scans showed significant decrease in number and intensity of the lesion, and tumor burden was reduced by 70%. The recent study published in Nuclear Medicine Communication about the skeletal tumor burden on sodium fluoride PET-CT they have included around 117 patients of metastatic breast cancer. They have used a threshold value of SUV max. And they have found that the change in skeletal tumor burden in response to therapy shows a moderate and direct correlation with the percentage variation of the tumor marker. And they have concluded that the skeletal tumor burden is easy to perform, highly reproducible, allow the evaluation of bone tumor response to therapy in breast cancer patients. Another example of metastatic breast cancer on hormonal therapy, you can see the baseline therapy done in September 2017 and after the therapy, and you can see the skeletal tumor burden by the quantitative analysis is decreased by 72%. Another example of metastatic breast cancer patient is on hormonal therapy and bisphosphonate. This is the baseline scan, and this is the post-therapy. And by visual analysis, it's very difficult to you can say what is the therapy response. But on quantitative analysis, you can see the TLF is around 5,000, and a post-therapy scan, there is no significant change and came out to be a stable disease. Another study published in OncoTarget in 2017 about the sodium fluoride tumor burden quantification in predicting the survival in breast cancer patients. They have included the 49 patients with having a bone metastasis and they have used the skeletal tumor burden with threshold value of SUV max 10. And they have found that the multivariable analysis, the skeletal tumor burden was significantly and independently associated with overall survival. And they have concluded that the skeletal tumor burden is strong, independent prognostic imaging biomarker. The survival curve analysis shows that the patient with a TLF less than 3,700 having a better overall survival compared to the patient having a TLF having a 3,700. That means the patient with having a high tumor burden having a bad overall survival. So that means that this tumor burden having a prognostic significance. Another example of metastatic breast cancer to bone, and you can easily see that this is a baseline and this is the post follow-up scan after a 9th month, and you can appreciate a new lesion, but you can easily conclude in the report that the tumor burden is increased by 70%. Response evaluation is extremely challenging, especially if you have a widespread metastasis or diffuse metastasis. The quantification analysis might be useful, and this is a case of metastatic castration registration prostate cancer treated with a chemotherapy, Taxol for 6 months, and you can see that the skeletal tumor burden increased by 46%. So we need some consistent method for the automated skeletal lesion classification. Recently, a quantitative total bone imaging software was developed by the University of Wisconsin Research Group from the United States of America. They automatically detect the bone lesion by setup threshold optimized for the latent detection, and they have found that this software, with the help of artificial intelligence and deep learning, you can identify the lesion that shows the increasing in activity, and you can show the lesion in the same patient by coloring that it is decreasing and showing in the same patient which are having a stable uptake. So we have some limitations for sodium fluoride because wide range of time intervals are reported in different studies of sodium fluoride PET CT, which limit the efficacy of treatment assessment. The flare-up phenomena with sodium fluoride is seen both after the chemotherapy and endocrine therapy. Therefore, the timing is crucial. So NAF should be performed after sufficient time of start or end of the treatment to reduce the flare. It is unclear that the sodium fluoride or FDG alone is sufficient for response assessment, or both tracer are required for the response evaluation in metastatic bone disease. For this, I am concluding my talk that sodium fluoride has a tremendous potential for assessing total skeletal burden and therapy response in patients with predominantly having osteoblastic skeletal metastasis. Calculation with sodium fluoride is relatively easy to abstract and highly reproducible compared to the conventional bone scan. Skeletal tumor burden is a strong independent prognostic biomarker and associated with the overall survival. Limitation of the early response assessment with sodium fluoride due to flare phenomena. So in that case, sodium fluoride will be good, FDG PET CT with a good alternative for the early response assessment for the metastatic bone disease. Thank you very much.